Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I'm Rachel with coffee that I just had to refill, with books, one that I just read at the pool, and no rain, but that's okay. I've got some ambiance going on in the background that kind of sounds a little bit like a rain, at least for the first little bit of the video. But let's go ahead and dive into the book today that I just finished reading at the pool earlier called A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. Now, T. Kingfisher has become one of my more favorite kind of horror-esque writers. There's just something about her style that really draws my attention. I have Nettle and Bone over here. I have What Moves the Dead here. Um, the the one that I just finished is actually over on the nightstand, and I wonder. And I have two copies of A House with Good Bones because I have this one, but then I have this one. So apparently, I didn't realize I had bought two of the same book. So that's my bad. I guess somebody will be gifted a copy of this book. So there we go. I have two copies that I was not even paying attention to until just now. But T. Kingfisher is also going to be at Dragon Con later this year, and I'm very excited because I do plan to go to Dragon Con, so now I have to make sure I am there on one of her days so I can potentially get a couple of my books signed, which would be fantastic. Now, I don't think I have any first editions, but I tend to get a lot of my books, you'll notice by this little sticker, from thriftbooks.com, because I like to give books a second life. I don't like to see them, if I might enjoy it, I don't like to see them get left in warehouses to molder as they will. But let us dive into this book since I am prattling. A haunting Southern Gothic from award-winning master of suspense, A House with Good Bones explores dark, twisted roots lurking beneath the veneer of a perfect home and family. Mom seems off. Her brother's words echo in Sam Montgomery's ears as she turns onto the quiet North Carolina street where her mother lives alone. She brushes the thought away as she climbs the front steps. Sam's excited for this rare extended visit and looking forward to nights with just the two of them, drinking boxed wine, watching murder mystery shows, and guessing who's the killer long before the characters figure it out. But stepping inside, she quickly realizes the home isn't what it used to be. Gone is the warm, cluttered charm her mom is known for. Now their walls are painted a sterile white, and her mother jumps at the smallest noise and looks over her shoulder even when she's the only person in the room. And when Sam steps back out to clear her head, she finds a jar of teeth hidden beneath the magazine-worthy rose bushes, and vultures are circling the garden from above. To find out what's got her mom so frightened in her home, Sam will go digging for the truth, but some secrets are better left buried. It is considered horror, fantasy, fiction, and gothic. I did not have the audiobook. I had it in hardback twice, and apparently the hardcover is about 247 pages, which is just about what I calculated. Actually, when I look at this last page, it says, well, not last page, but those are, yeah, when I look at the acknowledgments page, the last page is 247, so that makes perfect sense. Now, it was first released March 27th of 2023, so it's been out a little while. Again, apparently I have bought two copies from Thrift Books, so if you need one from Thrift Books, let me know. I've got an extra one. But let's dive into my thoughts. Now, I will say, Sam, she's excited about going home, but I think she's not as excited as this summary kind of says. There's some history with going to this particular house. And even though her grandmother has been dead for 20 years and her mom had made it her own, there's still something that I guess Sam's a little uncomfortable about. So that was one of the things I kind of noticed while I was reading the summary. Another one is that it says her mom jumps at the smallest noises and looks over her shoulder even when she's the only person in the room. Her mom is anxious, but when a picture falls and crashes to the ground at one particular point in the story, her mom doesn't bat an eye. So that sentence makes me was like, I don't know, questionable. And then it also makes it sound like in this very same instance, Sam steps outside and finds a jar of teeth hidden beneath these roses. Sam's going like digging. She is hunting because she found something in a picture that she is trying to figure out. And yes, she does ultimately find a jar of teeth. However, it is not like on day one when she realizes her mom is acting out of sorts. There is a neighbor, Gail, who seems to know a little more than she's letting on, and her mom is very much just trying to. Her mom is reflecting a lot of what her grandmother, the way her grandmother acted, where her mom kind of went to school, like grew up in the 70s, went to school in like the 80s, used to have a kind of foul mouth. Her mom is much more, I guess, censored now with the way she talks. Her mom also has lost quite a bit of weight, and so Sam is a little worried. She's like, kind of interesting. This is weird because this is not really mom's personality. And I think kids are pretty good about picking that up, unless, of course, they've been away for a long period of time, or they just choose to refuse not to see it or choose not to believe it. But so there is a level or element of horror theming to it. Now, throughout most of it, and I would say a good, I don't know, maybe 200-ish pages. But the horror is kind of slow burning. It is underneath. There is a creepiness to it, which I think is great. But you're not quite sure what it is. You're not sure if it's maybe Sam herself or if it's actually something that's more on that supernatural realm. Sam is an entomologist and archaeologist, entomologist. So people constantly ask her if she's the one who finds the mosquitoes with the amber inside the amber, and she's like, not really. Because everybody asks her that, but it's more like she finds weevils everywhere, which tell her a lot about, like, I guess, food from various cultures, and she's able to kind of extrapolate information from that. Well, one of the things she first notices when she gets to her mother's home, and of course home was originally her grandmother's, is the roses are gorgeous, like absolutely gorgeous. Her grandmother had these beautiful roses, and each chapter starts with, each day starts with kind of describing a different rose. And I thought that was kind of interesting because I don't know much about roses, but I like the bigger ones, not like the small ones. I guess there are some that are small and some that are bigger. But anyway, her grandmother's yard is full of them. What it's not full of, which potentially it should be, is bugs, insects of any kinds. And her being an entomologist, and I think I'm saying that right, recognizes that this is nearly impossible, that there should be some level of insect activity in this garden. Because one, how's it thriving so well without some sort of like little crawly creature to help it? But also, it's a yard. There tends to be insects in yards. Now, sure, you can put down stuff, and she does kind of go looking to see if there's some DDT somewhere, and I don't think that's good stuff. I think that's pretty toxic, which could potentially kill the insects. And she goes looking for a couple other things. She finds some rock salt, that's probably more for colder weather rather than for killing every single snail and slug that might be present. So Very interesting. So she's curious about that. She also wakes up one night. Now, the book is broken down into days. So, day 1, day 2, day 3, we do have that. So, chapter 1 starts, of course, on the first day. And so from there, you go immediately into chapter 1. Now, you don't get like there's chapter 2, but there's not a different day. You get you get a couple, and then there's the second day. And on each day, you get the depiction or description of a different rose. So, anyway, it's not the first day, but somewhere around the second or third day, Sam goes to sleep and wakes up to her room being utterly infested with ladybugs, but not not the, I guess, normal ones, but also the invasive Asian ones as well, that I guess apparently can bite, which makes sense. I thought I had gotten bitten by a ladybug once, and I was like, no, ladybugs don't bite, but now this book makes sense. However, that's where things start to get a little weird too, is because now some fairly odd paranormal things are happening. Again, she wakes up to her room just being utterly infested with ladybugs, so she has to spend pretty much hours cleaning it, and she starts sleeping on the couch in the living room because now she's kind of paranoid. When her mom has to go out of town for something, for I think work, Sam finds some notes in her mom's bathroom that seem to suggest either her mom is going crazy or there's something more at work here. And so this really starts ticking Sam's little noggin. She is so confused. Now, she also finds a picture of when she graduated from, I want to say it was like her master's degree, because she does have a doctorate at this particular point. I think from her master's degree, and she notices something in the bush that doesn't look like, it kind of looks like pareidolia, but she could kind of potentially play that off. It looks like a hand and a wrist, potentially an arm coming out of the bush behind her in the picture. So she goes to her laptop, and she's got terrible Wi-Fi signal at this particular point. Doesn't get great resolution because Wi-Fi is just struggling so hard. So she goes to a coffee cafe, and it's able to pull it up, and definitely the resolution clears up. It's an arm. It's a hand. She's like, there's no way. This can't be in there. It's got to be Photoshop. Someone's messing with me. And so then she goes to where I guess the bigger portrait was that someone printed out from the negative, and it's on there too. So now she's really freaking out. And she goes to try to talk to one of the neighbors, Gail, about her mom and her Sam's concern for what is going on in the house. And Gail is very hedgy about things. She's like, no, leave it be. Just leave things buried. Leave things alone. It's fine. It's fine. Your mom will be fine. But that's definitely not fine. Like, everything that this Gail lady is saying sounds absolutely shady. So, I don't think, of course, Gail did it. I mean, we do come to understand that Gail didn't do anything. She's just trying to, I think, not make Sam's mom sound crazy at this particular point. So she does try to warn Sam that, hey, potentially, and Sam's like, what, like ghosts? And she's like, I'm not saying. So she's like, no, there's no way. So, well, she finally gets her mom alone. And she's like, Mom, what's going on? And her mom's like, okay, well, they're out of the house. They're going for ice cream at this particular point. Weirdly, this seems to be their first time that they're going anywhere together, out away from the house. It seems as though the rest of the book, and again, only a couple of days have really actually passed, maybe a week at the most, and then her mom had taken a business trip during some of those days. But at this particular point, Sam's mom finally is like, hey, look, here's what I'm going through. And so that's when Sam's like, there's no way. But at the very, from that particular point on, it really does, zoom through the end. I really liked it. I thought this book was really well done. You've got this family drama, tension, and maybe they're, you kind of think that maybe they're just like, I don't know, maybe her mom is regressing, maybe her mom is having some dementia, maybe grandma was just a terrible, terrible person. We get all of this stuff going on, and I'm going to do my very best not to ruin anything or to spoil anything, because I'm going to try to like stop at that particular point where they're in the car kind of spilling the details. But it's really good. I really love her style of writing. It is that slow burn horror. Like some people love slow burn romance. No, I like slow burn horror. It works so well. She builds this fantastic atmosphere, and there's like buzzards, vultures that are like literally constantly staring at her grandmother's slash mother's house. Like they're constantly just like eyeballing it. So you gotta wonder, something's definitely up for sure. I give it probably 4.25 stars. Like I said, I really like T. Kingfisher. I will be reading more. I have read quite a few more. I've read some of her darker, I call them dark fairy tales because they're not shiny fairy tales like Disney puts out, but it was like Thornhedge and A Sorceress Comes to Call as well. Oh gosh, what was the really cute one about the girl who has to get away from her family? And then there's a sword heart? Yes, I think it was Sword Heart. That one was great. Loved that one so much. But T. Kingfisher is actually someone that I will kind of religiously once a month type into the NetGalley search to make sure I'm not missing anything that I can request from that author. They are great. And as you can tell, I own several of them and apparently buy multiples. So they are an author that will ultimately get their either their own section of a shelf or something. Like I have Terry Pratchett, like pretty much on a shelf. I have Simon R. Green and Jim Butcher, and a couple other, Ursula K. Le Guin, Tamora Pierce, and a couple others who kind of have their places in my like library. And I think T. Kingfisher is going to be one of those authors as well, who gets a place of what I would call honor, because I don't always have all the books by authors, but I think this author might be one that I do try to pick them most of them up. But with all of that being said, it is a slow burn, so just be aware that about 75% of the way in, you're like, when is something going to happen? About 75% of the way in is when it's going to happen. Just letting you know. You get that really like ending that's great. Love it. But with all of that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not liked and subscribed already, I hope you will. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I will see you guys on the next page. Have a great one.